So let's go back to 1937. 1937 was a year of turmoil politically and in the royal family. Edward VIII had abdicated and run off with Wallis Simpson, his American divorcee, and they were to exit Great Britain and live out their life in France. I mean, George VI wasn't expecting to come to the throne at all, and and Queen Elizabeth wasn't in the line of succession. But maybe that's why these particular coins have an endless fascination for coin collectors. And over the last 10, 12 years, these coins have pretty much tripled in price gradually. Every auction for these coins brings a slightly higher price. And I don't know where they're going to go from now, but I do know that they are held in great respect and endless fascination. And this particular set is, as you've probably seen, and you can just take a little peek through, this is a 1937 gold proof set. There were about 5,500 of these minted, and they are designated as specimen coins. And why is that? Let's just take a look at that for like one moment. They're very interesting coins. They before this current strike on the day sovereign for 2017, they were I think the last previous sovereigns to have a plain edge proof. So regular sovereigns, in quotes, legal tender sovereigns, have a proper edge which is designed kind of for circulation, even if they aren't circulated coins. Whereas these ones were a set of coins made in 1937 as specimens with a plain edge design. There is some debate as to whether a plain edge sovereign is actually a legal tender sovereign, and I suspect probably it may not be a legal tender sovereign. It may just be a specimen, a little bit like I don't know, something like Una and the Lion, maybe a specimen coin. But these coins are absolutely beautiful. You can see the plain edge there when it tilts over. Some of them are regular proofs, some of them have a cameo, some of them have an ultra cameo, and the ones that have ultra cameo are very, very few and far between and fetch significantly higher prices than the regular proofs. When they were issued in a red box which had had a fabric in it which was touching the coins for many, many, many years, causing little imperfections on the surfaces of these coins. So the highest graded coin at NGC is a 66, and there are plenty of coins 60, 61, 62, 63, plenty of coins that have been graded that are pretty poor examples because of this rubbing in the box over a number of years. There was a half sovereign, a 1 sovereign, a 2 sovereign, and a 5 sovereign. They all have the same mintages, so they're all equally as rare. The 5 sovereign fetches the highest price, but and more relative to its gold content. I think it seems to be the most prized of the 4 coins. Second is probably the sovereign, but they are actually equally as rare, and they're all worth picking up at the right price, and that price is going up over the years. But as I say, there were proofs which were fairly rare in Victorian times, apart from the 1887 Jubilee. And then in 1902 they issued about 15,000 of the matte proofs for Edward VII. In 1911 they issued the proof sovereigns for George V, and there are quite a few of those, but they only minted 3,700 of those. When they released these ones in 1937, they upped the mintage a little bit more to 5,500. So in fact, these ones are more common than the George V ones. So if they're more common than the George V ones, why are they more expensive than the George V ones? And I think that really is accounted for by the fact that the only British gold coin with George VI portrait on, and there were a few, I think, in Canada as well, but the only British coin produced with his portrait on was the Specimen sovereigns. And that's not to say that there were no other sovereigns in his reign, because there were hundreds of thousands of bullion sovereigns produced in George VI's reign, but they are all dated 1925, and they all have George V's head on it. They used exactly the same dies, and they didn't create bullion sovereigns at all with George VI's portrait on, and they didn't create bullion sovereigns with Queen Elizabeth's until 1957, I think, was the first one. There were a few proof sovereigns for 1953, which are held in collections and very, very rare indeed. And there were a few more in 57 and 58. But generally, early Queen Elizabeth sovereigns are massively expensive and very, very rare. So, the one that is, I think, in a lot of demand at the moment is this 1937, because it's relatively affordable compared to the Queen Elizabeth sovereigns, and it's very, very distinctive. I think that the distinction of having George's face on a gold coin, really everyone who collects sovereigns wants one of those in their collection, and there aren't very many to go around. There are lots and lots of sovereign collectors throughout the world. I was told by the guy who runs Sovereign Rarities, which is now part owned by the Royal Mint, that the reason for a lot of the price jumps on these is because every one that comes up for sale gets bids from China, Japan, Asia. I think there's a big market in Asia for these coins. And that extra demand with a very limited supply has boosted the price of these coins to pretty high levels. So there you have it. This is how it would fit into its box if it was allowed to fit into its box, which it won't be. Let me know what you think of the George VI specimen coins, and whether you have or want one of these in your particular collection. Please like, subscribe and comment, and visit the Silver Forum. Do come and have a chat with me on the Silver Forum, and it's a great place to hang out and talk to like-minded people.